Welcome back, everybody, to the Real Estate Agent Advantage. Today's episode, we are featuring Ben Meyer. Ben Meyer is a team leader out of Wichita, Kansas. He is killing it with online leads, ISAs, tracking numbers, really building his team out and doing a great job of it. He's going to be dropping some bombs for us, and he's going to be talking about a concept that is really weird. It's treating leads like people. Strange, huh? Let's get into it right now. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Real Estate Agent Advantage. My name is Lauren Cooper, and of course, I am north of Toronto, Canada. Remember to like, share, and subscribe before we get into it, because I always forget to do it, but I'm remembering to do it on a consistent basis now. Like, share, and subscribe. You got to do that on YouTube. Today, we've got a special guest, Ben Meyer. Ben, say hello to the good people.
How's it going, everybody?
So Ben has built an incredible real estate business out of Wichita, Kansas. He's going to talk all about that. Before we do, why don't you tell us what led you into real estate in the first place? What were you doing before you got into real estate?
That's a good question. I didn't think I was going to be in real estate. It's just kind of where life led me. Initially, I wanted to be a firefighter because it wasn't really about the money. It was about helping people and doing something you felt good about with your life. And at the time I was trying to do that, I was interviewing with a lot of places. I was very technically qualified to be hired on, but like I got my fire 1 and 2 hazmat, all that, but I didn't get hired on at the interviews because I was more of a innovative, like, thought leader. So if there's a better way to do something, let's do it. And a lot of the fire departments didn't like that attitude. They kind of wanted just the good old boy who fell in line, do what you're told, don't ruffle any feathers. And that's not really who I am as a person. So I was kind of looking at what did work in my life and what was going well, which was construction at the time. And I was doing construction because I knew I wanted to own a business of some sort because my dad was and which my family was. So I had that entrepreneurial bug in me from the start, but I just didn't know exactly what it would be. He owned a salvage yard. I grew up at, working at 14, pulling car doors off, carrying over my head, doing, hard manual labor, starting out when I was real young on everything. So I learned to work hard on that. Didn't know what type of business it was. Started to get into construction more because firefighting wasn't working out. And as I got into that, I kind of started out as just a handyman about 9-10 years ago, just doing whatever jobs I could. I was actually writing Craigslist ads. Is how I got my first business, my first
Really?
marketing, advertising. And, I knew my value proposition to the market was, I'm come straight to me. I'm the guy that does the work, not a general contractor that hires people. So you get the best of both. You get the middle value of it all, where it's like you just pay me directly, but I'm not just some bum off the street type of thing too.
Right.
I got really good at that. That's actually where I got connected with Mike Gerbic, who sponsored Adam Bailey, and I did some work on his personal house. And then I started to do some flip houses where I'd actually do the work. And, at 24 years old, I thought it was awesome to get 20 grand and I'd get the work done in like a week or two, where it normally would take them like a month or 2 months because I would work from 7 a.m. to like 11 at night. I thought it was awesome and I could do it. And I did it. And I had the energy and bandwidth to do that back then. So I got into doing the work for flipping houses. Then I got into doing my own flip houses, but I didn't have my license at the time. So I'd kick it over to realtors who would go to sell it. And some of them I was happy with, some of them I wasn't. And I just really started to get into that whole world of building on my skills from construction into real estate. And then I got my own license because I didn't think realtors did that much. I had that attitude where I didn't think they did that much. And I was half right because a lot of them don't. But then I saw how much opportunity there was to really expand on this and provide a service that the market was wanting. That was kind of when Zillow was starting to come around on everything. They were starting to be a major player on everything. And they're kind of showing what the consumer wanted. They wanted a better service model, essentially what it came down to. And I kind of did the math and I was like, I could flip a house and it'd take me 4 to 6 months. And then I could go make 40, 50 grand. Or I could just go be a really good realtor and make that consistently on an ongoing basis and actually make way more than that. And I saw a big opportunity to provide a better service model to realtors, for the consumer in mind, because I was hearing all the complaints I could hear from consumers and whatnot. And I think my first year I did 6 deals. 4 of those were my flip houses. 2 of those were just some SOI, friends and family fell in my lap thing. I didn't do a whole lot on that first transaction because I just didn't know what I didn't know. But I had 6 hours into it and I made $3,300 and I did the math and I was like, this is awesome. I just need to do more of these. And so it clicked me over. And so I started buying leads, started getting into all that, started realizing like, oh shit, this is way harder than I thought to actually build this thing. Went and joined a team because I had enough failure and enough pain that I went and joined a team. And that's really where I took off and really started to understand like how real estate works, how a team works, how you can service better instead of just being a single agent. Not saying single agents are a bad thing. It's just very hard to pull off if you're a single agent on your own, with how much more complex and competitive this environment, how much faster it is, how much money there is with it all. And so I joined that team. I was the top producer there for a while and I started figuring out like Facebook. This was back when you could get, thousands and 10,000s of views on Facebook before they started regulating it all and throttling it all down. And, I would go do open house videos or walkthrough videos, put them in all the groups and get thousands and tens of thousands local views and get my name out there a lot for everything. So that's kind of how I bootstrapped it to start, was just straight grit and hustle, and then trying to figure out what lead sources worked, trying a lot of things. Like Z-Buyer is one I signed up for. And I remember when I was sweating over like $300 a month for leads. Now I'm spending like 30 grand a month for leads and market and people and payroll and everything else. And like, I don't even bat an eye at it.
Right.
It's like back then I was like, oh man, $300 a month. And then it'd be like, where's my 3 grand at? It's like,
it's different level, right? Different levels.
So I got going with that team. I started generating my own leads, figuring out ways to market better. That team leader didn't really want to work with me on like some of these new ways. I was generating a lot of my own leads, my own business. So we went our separate ways. I ended up
innovative entrepreneurial mind again, right?
Yeah, just the whole thing is like building on what was working. So going from construction to flipping to realtoring to like, and I'm big on personal development and like improving yourself. And so I continuously like learn on sales, marketing. I went and got trained as a life coach too, on how to help people do the biggest life change they can have. So a lot of the money I made, I didn't spend on myself, or, from a consumer fashion, I'd spend it back on myself on training, knowledge, skills, putting it back into marketing, to where I would live off of like 10% of what I actually made. So all that money I made was not my money. I would put it right back in the business, and I still do that, and I'm still snowballing it. And so basically I went and figured out like how to be a good agent myself. And then initially I was building the team and just threw a bunch of agents in there because like, well, I got leads and I'm a good realtor, so why don't you come join my team? Which is the whole gist of my value proposition. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. So basically I had to become the admin, the manager, coaching everyone at a 50% split. So basically my pay got cut in half and I had to work twice as much. And I was like, this sucks. Like being a team leader sucks. I didn't know what I was doing until I realized like I needed to build my support team first before I bring agents on. Agents are the last thing I need to bring on. Right. So I got a TC, and this wasn't that long ago. This was probably 2 years ago that I like basically just not destroyed my team, but it fell apart essentially. I had a partner and I previously, we went our separate ways on that. That's another story for another time on everything. But after that, like it was just me basically. I had to go to freight brokerage for a little bit just to keep my income going personally while I was still building real estate and keeping my leads going and everything. Because I've been generating leads for about 4 years. I was with Real Geek CRM. Now I'm with Chime CRM. And so it's big on that tech side of things, on that marketing side of things. And I did 64 units in 2020. I'd have to go check the volume again. And it was just me and a TC when we did that. 2021, we did 94 units and 20 million in volume. And I had a TC, an admin, an ISA, and a showing partner. So I built my support team first so that I could be a good agent with what I had going on before I started handing it off to somebody who didn't know what they're doing, and have a support system, a training system. So I wasn't the support system and the training system. And now this year we are at 61 sold and closed so far. The goal is 40 million. We have 5 agents, 5 support staff. And the goal is to have at least 20 producing agents by the end of the year is what we're looking at, because we're getting these systems figured out from not just leads and marketing, but most importantly, our agents and our people. And we realize the people are at the core of this. As awesome as online leads are and tech and marketing, everything else, it makes social skills, people skills, all that much more valuable. So we're marrying both of those together, of tech and marketing and reaching people online first, but when they're 3 to 12 months out, but then nurturing them all the way to the process so that when it's time to actually sell and transact, like we've already have this relationship built with these people we haven't even met. from the YouTube videos I build to the website we built out super. Like we do a lot of reloads. We do a lot of educational videos, like how do you buy and sell in this crazy market? How do you win in this crazy market? And so we're doing a lot of pre-education, and we use the videos to do the heavy lifting. But I'm learning a lot more to like let go as an agent and be more of a team lead. I'm kind of in that weird, messy middle spot right now where I'm still being an agent producing, but I have 2 showing partners and I have a lead listing agent and I have a support team, but I don't quite have enough agents to just be out of production and just be a team lead. But I need to be a team lead and recruit, but I also need to be an agent. And so it's like, and those are both full-time overtime roles. And now we got you caught up to speed for how's your story?
Great.
So,
Listen, you're in a growth phase. That's fantastic. So it sounds like primarily your business is built off of online leads. Is that correct?
yeah. And the funny thing is, like, I'm from Wichita originally, and I still built my business this way because I recognize the opportunity is there. And honestly, just the sign of the times that it's like everyone's an online lead. Even your friends and family are online leads, or they become online leads. And the truth is, there isn't enough of your friends and family to sustain and support your business. Like, if you're really going to run a true business, you need to have a marketing and advertising model, just like any business would, because you're not going to open up a restaurant and be like, I'm going to only sell food to my friends and family, and that's it, and I'm going to make it. Like, you realize how impractical that is. So it's the same thing in real estate. Like, you got to put yourself out there. You got to market, you got to advertise, you got to sell to not just your friends and family, to everyone else out there. And kind of this is what I realized about online leads is like, they don't know you, you don't know them. You have everything to gain, nothing to lose. Why are you scared of it? You're just there to help them. And like, you got to just stay tough enough to take the shots from them, the awkwardness, the uncomfortable, until they see, like, I'm just here to help you through like this thing. I'm not here to screw you over. I'm not some sleazy, shady salesperson, and I'm willing to sit here and stay here in this uncomfortability until like we see that. And there's methods, there's phrases, there's coaching that we have around that we do it. But at the end of the day, like, online leads are not numbers, they're people, and they want to be talked to like people. Like, we use houses to start, where they come looking at houses at first, but then eventually, like, they want a realtor and they want to be treated like a human, especially on a real estate like a big real estate transaction like this. So
Right.
I know so many people are trying to go to all automation, all tech, all marketing, don't talk to anybody. People still want people in real estate. And so it's like, really what it is, it's like all the order processing, robot work, mundane work is either getting outsourced to the Philippines. Literally an AI bot like we're using is doing it, to where you just need to be that much better at the deep people work, which is what I'm coaching my agents on and my people on. Because it's like, most people don't know how to be deep and connect. Like, okay, I get the concept, but how do I follow the answer and just keep asking somebody about like them personally? Because we start with houses, but then it becomes about people. Where we ask them, like, are you looking for fun, or are you looking to make a move? Oh, I'm looking for fun. What's got you looking for fun? Well, we're looking at potentially, getting a bigger house because we don't have enough room for our kids. And I was like, oh, and what's that do for you personally? Like, so we want to understand why they're buying a house. There's a life reason that people always buy houses. It doesn't matter what the market's doing. People are always going to be buying and selling real estate. And
Yep.
you got to be the one that cares enough to be the one that's servicing it. Doesn't matter what the interest rates are doing, the market's tanking, whatever. If you keep people at the core of this, which I feel like realtors kind of got away from, which is why Zillow came in, all these other services came in, people are coming in our industry, because we're not taking care of our people at the core, and we're not fortifying those relationships. We're not listening. We're not asking for feedback from our consumers, or we're just ignoring the feedback from them, saying like, oh, well, deal with it, I'm the only option, which is kind of how the industry used to be, where it's like, you went to realtors and that was your only option. But then Zillow came around, wholesalers came around, auction companies came around, iBuyers came around. Like, people got options. We got to earn the business. Whereas previously it was just like, I'm the only choice. You got to use me.
Right.
And you can kind of have this at it. And I say that because I've only had my license for 6 years, but I can see that enough to be like, you can't really have an extortion model like it used to be. You don't have a monopoly anymore. You got to shift to a service model to help people. That, and with Zillow, tech, marketing, how much more complicated this is, like us, and how much more demanding the consumer is, what they expect out of you, how fast they expect out of you. It's very hard for one person to keep up with all of that. Like, when really you need like 4 or 5 people. It'd be like if you walked into the doctor's office and the doctor called you to come in, the doctor checked you in, the doctor took your weight, the doctor gave you a prescription, the doctor billed you, and the doctor like followed back up with you. The doctor did everything. You'd be like, what the hell is this doctor doing? But we do that as agents. and we think we're going to be good at every single job. It's impractical. And that's why teams are crushing it, because there's people that are specializing in what they're best at. And honestly, the people on the team are enjoying it even more because they want to do real estate. They want to be involved in real estate. They can't deal with the crazy highs and lows. And like, if you study personalities, you can't be a D. Everyone can't be a DISC. And a DISC is neat. Like, all those personalities are needed in different ways, in different fashions of the job, because it's literally 20 jobs that you can split apart, which is essentially what teams are doing. So that's a long answer to your question, but it's all good content, right?
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so since you talked about online leads and a little bit of the conversation there, what do you do? Because a lot of people get stuck on relational reluctance or call. You know, when you're talking to someone, you're asking them a question, they're like, "Oh, I'm just looking great." You know, that's what
Right.
this is for. And then they're kind of standoffish. How do you break through that kind of barrier?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a lot of training around this that we provide on our team, from a communication standpoint, a sales skill standpoint, and a lot of it is just having the right phrases, the right approach of how you address some of that with them. And part of it is understanding that, like, we'll give you an example. We get 600 leads a month through our website, and we know those people are usually 3 to 12 months out as they come to our website. And we've been doing this for 4 years, and we have about 15,000 leads in our system. So we have this big database, and we have them on a funnel, basically, of how much priority do you need of service or not. And we send them houses, and we watch their online behavior. Essentially, how many houses are you looking at? How many times are you coming back to the website? What are you doing that's prompting us to be like, that person's more than likely going to want to talk? But then when you do get them on the phone, you got to have a good conversation, a good dialogue. And that's a key word: dialogue, questions, not selling and telling. And you ask questions. And like, we were just doing this morning when I was role playing with my team, this exercise we do called follow the answer, where all I got to do is ask you one question, repeat back what you said to me, and ask another question, and see how far you can take that conversation. Because that's the big thing, is where you want to follow these scripts or these processes or whatever, but it's like, those aren't really conversations. Like, that's you ramrodding somebody in the process instead of having a legit like conversation and just free flow. So
Yeah, and people that aren't experienced, you can often, when you listen in on their conversations, it can almost sound like an interrogation or an interview.
yeah,
Because if they're just hammering questions and not really responding to the answers, it sounds almost like that. So you really have to learn the
yeah,
nuances of making it conversational.
yeah. And so that's where, like, I learned a lot the hard way, because I didn't really have a good coach. So I learned a lot of hard lessons and just trial and error of beating my head against the wall, getting beat up, like, with all these things, and kind of just learning things myself personally. But then I still role play with my team on these conversations, on this communication, to where, we practice with ourselves, with each other. And we also talk about, at the end of the day, what conversations we had, how they went, what'd you learn, how did they go. And so we're constantly like masterminding together on getting better at this, on the different ways. It's a skill like anything else. Just like a pro athlete's going to practice football way more than they actually play football, we're going to do the same thing as agents. And it's literally the same like environment, because we're paid athletes. We get paid for a result. If the house sells, we get paid money. If it doesn't, we don't. Because as much as people say this is a relationship business, that's only true to an extent, to the extent that you can get the result for that relationship. If you can't get the result for that relationship, I don't give a shit what type of relationship you have. You're not going to have one anymore, because you didn't get the result. They're not going to be happy with you if you can't sell them the house. They can't get you a house. So I think that's a big misconception about this industry. They're like, oh, all relationship. And I agree, people are important, but if you can't get the job done for people, you can't hold a conversation around real estate. If you're the typical ding dong door opener, as I call them, that knows a bunch of people in real estate but can't actually do their job well, which is what most people think about realtors. Like, what value do you actually have? And that realtor is getting phased out. That's the realtor that people don't like, that the consumer complains about. And I share their disdain with them, because I'm like, and I don't directly talk bad about realtors as a whole. I talk bad about the behavior and like, basically what the consumers complaining about, I'm complaining about too. And I'm addressing that, and I'm meeting them where they're at and being like, hey, let me show you where we don't do it that way. Like, and I hear you, and we built a service. That's why I built this team, is to listen to your feedback and service you guys better, so that at the end of the day, you're raving and ranting about us with a 5-star review, and you love the service we're getting. And it's kind of, if you think about, like, Uber, Netflix, Amazon didn't create their industries. They just came in and did it better. It's the same thing we're doing with teams and with real estate. We didn't create real estate.
No.
We're just delivering the service better and earning the competition away from our earning the clients away from our competition. And there's a lot of older guard that's mad about that, but that's business, that's innovation. Like, what do you expect?
Yeah,
So
exactly. So let's take a few steps backwards. And when you first started in real estate, you said you decided to join a team, which I
mhm.
suggest to a lot of people because you don't know what you don't know, and if you can find
Yeah.
the right team in the right environment with the right kind of leadership and training, that's a fantastic way to get started in this business. What was your experience like in the team environment, and what did you learn from it?
So the traditional team that I joined, not going to name the brokerages at, but most people could probably figure out who it was a very traditional team on an old model that didn't really work that well. And the biggest piece of it is the team lead didn't really sell that much real estate. The team lead didn't build his business off of online leads. I built my business off of online leads, so I know what I'm doing. I know how to coach on this because that's where my business came from. He did a bunch of personal SOI business, made money, and then tried to just throw Boomtown in, throw leads in, hire agents, be like, you guys build this, figure it out. But he didn't have a clue what he was doing. And so that's where it's like, it was kind of good and bad because we had free reign to do whatever we wanted in there, but we also didn't know what we were doing in there. So we kind of had to just figure things out the hard way. But I guess I was smart enough and dumb enough to like stick with it and figure it out, because I would sit there just on the dialer all day, morning, afternoon, evening, just talking to people, getting these things going, watching YouTube videos, trying to figure this out, trial and error, learning from sales guys, marketing guys, watching webinars, like basically just doing whatever it took to figure this shit out and get going with
Self-educating
it.
to figure out, the scripts and the methods and the tools and
Yeah.
everything needed.
So I saw all that and I saw what was possible, but then I was like, okay, there's a lot more things that you can build better with this. And I guess I just kept going. So I learned what I could from that team, moved on from it. But then I'm big on getting coached. So like I joined Jared James coaching organization for a while. I'm part of John Cheplak, some of his coaching programs now. And I've kind of realized like everything you need to know, someone else has already done and figured out. You just need to go follow them and do the same thing. As much as all this tech and marketing and new ways to get business is cool, there's universal principles that have been around forever for people that have been going. Like some of the sales books I give to some of my people are from the 60s. Like, people are still people, even though we have tech and online and marketing, people still want to be interacted with like people. And when you really break down like sales and what it is and like how to be good at it, it's one of the best professions in the world. But so many people fail at it because they don't take any training on it, any classes. They don't develop themselves at all. They want to walk into this industry and just make, doctor level money without putting in doctor level work ahead of time to develop themselves. Like, and so we just have such a low barrier to entry in sales and realtoring is why the industry is so bad, and I wish there's a way we could raise that, but then we can't because of the way the profit models are set up on it all. The only way to do that is just build a service and a team that's so good that it's like, when you fail, you're going to be open to come talking to us and working with us instead of having the, oh, I'm newly licensed, I can do this, I'm so cocky and egotistical. Oh shit, this is harder. Maybe I need to go seek a team out and actually listen to what they got going on. And I'll quit complaining about a 50% split because I'd rather have 50% of something than 80 or 64% of nothing, which is like, I don't care what your split is, it's what your net, which is
Right.
also why I'm at EXP. Like, why would I be at EXP compared to like Real or Platinum or someone else? Because of the people, the network of producers that they have here. It's worth it to me. Plus, it's like, I don't really want to be a broker. I want to actually sell houses and do all that. I don't want to do the management side of brokering. It's worth it to me to pay EXP what I pay them to handle the brokerage side of things, compliance things, all that. I'm as close to being a broker without being a broker, and to keep the main thing to me, which is buying and selling houses and the service around that for my people. I don't really want to go be a broker and manage compliance and paperwork and
Who
checks
would
and all
want
that
to
shit.
do that? Really, as
No.
far as I'm concerned, and I don't want to make this about EXP or anything, but as far as I'm concerned, in general, that's just more of an ego play than anything else. It doesn't make
Yeah.
sense to me from a profit standpoint. Teams now, especially these mega teams, are really the new brokerage, the way the brokerage
Yep.
used to be, in the
Yep.
70s and 80s, because what they
Right.
would
It's what a
offer, they would
brokerage
offer
should be.
leads and training and,
Right.
coaching and all that mentorship. But now it's changed and flipped where the brokerage really offers very little value. So
Right.
teams have sort of taken over on that and taken that
Right.
larger split, but offered a hell of a lot more value
Right.
to someone's business. So,
Well, and brokerages are almost a commodity to where it's like the agents who are driving the business know they're the valuable thing, and we're going, which brokerage is going to give me the best deal for the service they give me on everything?
exactly,
Like, and
exactly.
that's a new school attitude that EXP is really good about, but the old school attitude of these brokerages are like, well, you work for me, you're at my brokerage, and like EXP's like, we work for you. How can we help you get you doing what you do? Which is great because they let me do what I do, and they get out of my way, and they service me, and they give me good attention, and like that's all I need. That's worth the 16 grand I pay them a year for the cap, which a bunch of that I get back anyway in stock and rev share and everything else. So it's like it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer if you're a mid to high producer. If you're not a mid to high producer, no brokerage is going to work for you. It doesn't matter. Like, so,
Well, the goal is to help people get there, and that's why we do what we do, so we can get the message out there, because there are so many different ways of doing business. There are people that cold call and door knock and do that effectively and great. There are people that do social media and great, and there are people that work online leads and great. It's all fantastic. You have to find what
yep,
works for you, right? And so
yep,
your model is definitely geared heavily towards online leads. So let's dig into that, because
yep.
you're neck deep in it. What have you found the numbers to be for people that are considering getting into the online lead world? What kind of ratios are we looking at? You'd mentioned earlier that you've got like, 600 leads a month coming in, right? And
Mhm.
and from that, it's generally a 3 to 12 month nurture period. I mean, can we dig into that a little more?
Sure. Well, and I can give you kind of my story of how I started because I obviously didn't start where I'm at now. And
Right.
for a lot of people, there's different phases and seasons of their business where different things make sense depending on what growth pattern they're on. So, like if
100%.
you're a brand new single agent just starting out, building yourself towards a team, obviously you got your SOI stuff, all that, but you don't want to be just hammering them too much where like you can't base everything off of them. Like I kind of know for us personally, it's 60% online leads, 20% SOI, 20% open houses. And that's probably a formula you could follow with anybody wanting to get into the industry on it all. You could scale that out whichever way, shape, or form is that proportion of where your business should come from. Um, but as far as online, like when I started, I was buying Z buyer leads. Like that was the first one, is like $300 a month, but it's a bunch of shared leads. At the same time, I didn't care because like I knew I was going to go beat everyone in my market, and I got a good amount from there too. But I was also running like Facebook organic leads just with the caption link. That probably doesn't apply as much now with the way Facebook is, and when you put a link on there, they don't show it, how much they regulate your exposure on it all. But I'm big on paid traffic. And the reason for that is because I want to talk to the people who want to hear what I have to say. Like, I don't want to be bothering people, like pestering them. And the people that want to hear you is who you got to pay for. Like, that's how Google operates. It's how Facebook operates. They operate off of paid ads. Like, everyone else is able to use these platforms and systems for free because we pay for them. Is really where it came from.
Basically, yeah.
Zillow exists because realtors pay for it. And I don't think Zillow is the end of the world. I think Zillow helped me build my business in a lot of ways for a certain time and period in my business. Initially, I used them because it was just me. I could afford to take that big hit of what it cost me to be on there with Zillow. Same with like OpCity with Realtor.com is a really good one for people to start off with. Yeah, it's a 35% referral fee in the back end, but that's a long-term lifetime client that you can take care of. Plus, if you got nothing else, you can't really afford to be picky starting out. You got to get your past client database going. You got to get your deals going any way, shape, or form you can do that, do it. So that's where it's like some of these more expensive lead sources like Zillow or OpCity Realtor make sense to start, but you want to work yourself away from them eventually to where you're building like your PPC pipeline and database, because that's a 3 to 12 month database. So as you're doing Zillow and Realtor and all those more expensive ones that are quicker to get your cash flow going, you're also building your long-term stuff with PPC, with Google, with Bing, with a few different service providers, in your CRM. Because back when I was on Zillow, it was right when they came out with Zillow Live Connect. And they basically just promised you connections, like, hey, we'll give you 12 connections, 20 connections a month, whatever it was. And so when I'd get that connection, I would obviously take it right away. I'd service it really well. But then I had a CRM on the backside of it too, not just like, oh, I got the lead and then what? Like I got the CRM, I got the lead, put it in my CRM, sent it houses, stayed with them, had a follow-up plan. And like I was closing like crazy because I had a full-on marketing and sales plan with this, not just, oh, I need leads, because you hear it from realtors all the time. Leads, we need leads. Like, oh, you need to do better with the leads you got. You don't need a
Right.
lot of leads. You just need to follow up them, service them well. And if you're not coached on that, you just don't know what you don't know, what you're missing. You don't realize how much you're dropping the ball, messing up, because your consumer won't tell you. They're not going to tell you like,
Oh, they'll
hey, you
just
didn't follow
disappear
up
and
with
go to
me.
someone
I
else.
didn't like the way you said this. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like this thing. They just ghost you. They just disappear. They're just gone. So you have no clue how much you're missing and messing up on all this.
Let's talk on that for a minute. Now, your follow-up systems, as we both know, they're very important. And if, like you said, if you're paying money to get these leads in there, you have to follow up the right way. What type of follow-up system are you working? Like, is it a combination of texts, emails, phone calls? What kind of frequency? What kind of value are you delivering?
Houses. So people signed up. If you understand how people sign up on these Google PPC things, they type in Wichita homes for sale. We show up first. They click on it, and they'll see all the houses, and we know 2,000 people will click on that. 200 people will sign up on our forced registration. Only about 20 of those actually want your help. The 1980, I'm not worried about the 1980. I'm just worried about the 20 who do want our help, and I want to service them and help them super well so that they actually turn into transactions. Because I know some people are like, oh, well, people are mad that they're making me sign up and or that we're being forced to sign up and they don't like this or they don't want to be talked to. Is like, well, yeah, we're in a sales business. Like, not everybody that sees your stuff is going to buy something from you.
Right.
And you're not worried about them. And you're not going to be rude to them or anything. If they say, leave me alone, leave them alone. But you don't know until you reach out and make contact with them. Because the number one complaint you hear from people is, I never heard from my realtor. My realtor didn't call me. They don't follow up with me. So it's like, you just have to assume that's who they are until you've been proven otherwise. And you just got to take the shots. Like, it's a tough industry. If you're not a tough person, like, this isn't the industry for you. It's hard. Like, it's tough. And so with those follow-up systems, they sign up for to look at houses. They didn't sign up to talk to you. They signed up to look at houses. So we send them houses like great. Like, we have an 80% open rate in our email campaigns. It's insane because we keep the main thing. The main thing was people want houses. And it's an 80% open rate because the people who aren't opening them, we shut them off. Like, hey, obviously you don't want houses. We're going to shut that off because you're going to ruin the email servers for us and everybody on the platform. Like, I don't want to send you stuff if you're not going to open it. Like, and so we're very diligent about like who is opening them. And then not just, hey, we're sending you houses, be like, hey, we saw you opening those. Are those matching? Do you want us to refine those? What location are you looking in? What price point? What bedrooms, bath? Why those? What's that do that? So we're, in a lot of ways, we're servicing them into a sale online first before we ever meet them. So we already have a bunch of relationship equity built because we already are doing all these things for them. They feel obligated to reciprocate and be like, well, I'm going to go with these guys because they've been sending me houses, checking it out. They've been nice to work with. Like, yeah, I need to go with them on it all. So we keep the main thing was houses. So we send out 80% houses to people and about 20% correspondence from us because they do eventually want to hear from us. So we got their attention with houses. We send them houses. We give them service. But then eventually we need to connect with them on a human level and be like, what are you looking for? Why are you looking? Why is that important to you? Some of it's the AI bot. Some of it's automations. Now we have VA ISAs in there. I have a local ISA in there. But then the lower down in the funnel they get, the more they need to get with an agent, one-on-one basis on my personal cell phone, personal touches, not a bunch of the automations. It needs to be very specialized, individualized, because it's a big deal to these people and it's personal. And it's like, that's more what the agent is set up for on a team to do than having to prospect all the time or do paperwork all the time. Like, care about people, pay attention to them, deal with their neediness, deal with their emotions, like all these things that they need to have, like, and they want it. And they're going to pay you thousands of dollars to do it. But sometimes we get so removed from ourselves, being like, man, this sucks. This is hard. This is difficult. It's like, do the math on how much you're getting paid to do this and you'll have a better attitude about it. And just keep that big picture in mind on it all. So it's a combination of, we start with houses. Eventually the people got to work into it because eventually they do need a good realtor. And if they're on your website, they're on everyone else's website. So why are they going to convert with you? Why are they going to work with you? Eventually, you've got to give them a reason for that. So you send them items of value, not just like, hey, you want to buy a house yet? You want to buy a house? You want to buy a house? You send them a video that says like, here's 3 steps to get pre-qualified. Hey, did you get that video I got you? What did you think of that? Did that help you, with how to process this? How do you win in this market? Like, send them items of value to follow up with, or you follow up them on a personal level. I'm looking at getting a job in Wichita and I got an interview coming up. So when we call them up, the first thing we're asking, like, hey, how'd your interview go? You excited about moving to Wichita? What's your thoughts about Wichita? Well, I don't know much about it. Hey, you know what? We got a whole page on that on our website. If you want to go look at local Wichita, get to know Wichita beyond just the houses and Google Maps, we want to let you get to know our whole city, all that. So it's just meeting people where they're at, giving them items of value beyond just houses, but it starts with houses, but it ends with people and really connecting with people on a personal level. And I know I'm doing a lot of talking here, but if you saw me do the work and actually listen to a call, it's a lot of questions, and it's a lot of just me asking questions, them talking questions that like they're talking 80% of the time and I'm talking like 20% of the time.
The roles are reversed here. It's okay. Don't worry. That's my job
Yeah.
to ask questions. Your job is to answer them.
I'm trying to relay as much information as possible in a short amount of time.
I appreciate that. That's fantastic. All right, so that gives us a sense of follow-ups and systems. What was the average, if you have it or you track it, lifespan of someone coming into the top of the funnel to someone transacting?
So that's a good question because we're still in growth mode, and so we don't quite have enough data to give you a reliable answer for that. To be
Okay.
honest with you, I just know that when they come in, I know they're 3 to 12 months out before like they're ready to transact or not. And honestly, that's okay because I want to catch them as soon as possible. I want to be talking to them before they go to Zillow and Realtor and everything else. Because the thing is, Zillow and Realtor, they're all forced registration websites too. They just force you to register lower in the funnel. We force you to register sooner in the funnel. It's all the same thing. Like, and these websites aren't free. Like, we pay for Zillow and Realtor. You just got to pay for it later. We're paying, about $10 to $15 a lead for Google being PPC stuff.
Right.
And, Zillow stuff, depending on your market, can be way more than that. Realtor's like $25 to $50 a lead here, and you're always evaluating your lead source. But to me, it's just a lead is nothing more than a name, number, and email. What you do with it from there is what you have set up in your CRM. And kind of the attitude I have with it too is that I'm not just building this database for who's looking to buy and sell right now. I'm looking to build this database to have direct access to consumer. How many more people can I have just direct access to? So if I have a database of 80, 90, 100,000 people in Wichita and our metro size is 600,000, like I have access to one in every five people in Wichita. Like that's a lot of direct access where I don't need Zillow. I don't need Realtor. I don't need the MLS. I don't need a lot of things because I built a marketing and sales machine.
Right.
It doesn't need anything else, which is a lot of what the wholesalers are doing too. You can't knock them or be mad at them, like learn from them, like what they're doing. They're going straight to the seller in a lot of ways and like basically doing what a realtor does without having a license. Don't be mad at them. Just learn from them and do the same thing. Same thing what Zillow did. Learn what Zillow did, provide the same service to your people and do it better than them, which is essentially what we're doing. I'm cutting in line in front of Zillow with my ads and Realtor saying, just come to us first. You're going to end up here anyway. Just come to us first. Like, you don't need them. But I also recognize they're not going away. And at the end of the day, like Zillow and Realtor are not realtors, realtor.com. They don't want to be agents. They're not in the agent business. They're in the marketing business and they need us. They want us, but also just build a service better than them so you don't have to use them. And they make sense for a certain period in time in your business when you get going.
Yes.
But you need to build your business. You need to build your systems to get away from them eventually.
Yeah, you don't want to have to rely on that all the time. Definitely not. Okay, so let's now take this and jump it forward and say, if you had a niece or a nephew somewhere, in the country that was dropped and was like, okay, I want to get into real estate. I don't have a sphere. There are no teams I can join. What would you say is the best way to get started and really get off the ground?
That's a good question. So somebody that's not from an area and there's not a team to join, I'd probably, I'm assuming they're a licensed realtor. I'd tell them to go take a market assessment first and go study how many houses have sold in their market in the last year, who's selling them, what are they doing, how can I go do the same thing? Go study what's already working instead of trying to find some new innovative way. Go study the people that are working. Or like you said, there's no teams around. Go make a team. Go approach one of those agents and say, hey, how can I either get referrals from you, work for you, do something for you, learn from you? Go make a team. If there isn't a team, go make one. Go approach someone and say, hey, I'm just getting started. I know I don't know anything. I need to get going, but I'd rather help you. How can I come help you grow your business while I'm getting started? And let's form a partnership in some way. And like most of them are gonna be like, hell yeah, let's do it. Like I need the help because I'm overloaded. So if there isn't a team to join, just regularly, just
right.
go.
Because I would suggest join a team, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the obvious one. But if that's not a possibility, I mean, another thing to do that I suggest is reach out to people outside of your market. Become involved in the real estate community, and you'll find that people open up. I mean, in an environment like EXP that we're in, everybody's an open book. Everybody shares their business. It's like super easy peasy. But in a lot of other brokerages, it's not necessarily the same. You don't have to worry about the brand. Reach out to people, get to know them, create a conversation, and maybe you'll find your mentors
Yep.
somewhere else outside of your little pocket, and they'll help guide you with your
Yep.
business.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's definitely going and finding the people you need to find, because they've said before, like, real estate's not about what you know, it's who you know, which is true. But a lot of it is like the realtors, the network, and like what they're willing to teach you. Because yeah, a lot of us are a lot of an open book, because we know how hard it is when we started, and we're
Oh yeah,
like, we'll tell you what to do because we know what it's like and how hard
and
it
what not
was.
to do.
Yeah, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
learn from what we did well and learn from the dumb shit we did too, and don't do that.
Exactly, exactly. I wish I had, a community to have sort of jumped into when I first started, because it was that school of hard knocks to really figure it out for the first couple of years, until I actively went and pursued other people to really understand what they were doing to be successful. Because the thing that you can get caught up in is, yes, look at the people that are doing a lot of business around you and try to emulate their success, but you have a very limited window into what they're doing, and what they're doing right now may not be what got them started. So it's a little bit tricky. If you can
Yeah.
find that mentorship or something that you can bounce off of someone, then that's
Yeah.
definitely the way to go.
Well, and like, so I've been at 4 different brokerages now in my 6-year career because of that situation. Where I started, I was just kind of holding my license because I sell my flip houses. And when I went and joined that team, I had to move to a brokerage. Then when I was done with that team, I went and joined a different brokerage to be mentored by the top agent. That he was like the top 7 agent in our market. He was like, I think he was number 7 out of our 2,500 agents. And so like, I went there specifically to learn from him, mentor under him. He ran a team. I was looking to run a team. So I wanted his guidance, for all that. And then I switched to EXP because I kept going with that same attitude, where I wasn't just learning what people were doing in Wichita, as the whole nation that I was getting access to. So it's because of the people I kept getting associated with, like you said, and like, they can take you to a level higher than you can yourself. Like, why do this the hard way and trying to figure it out yourself when someone else has already got it figured out? Just go learn from them. Like, be humble enough to go learn from them. And I guess that's where like EXP and this I think it's a little bit of a generational thing too, where we're looking to collaborate and work with each other and cooperate more than the previous generation was all about competition and button heads and like, I'm going to
Exactly.
screw you over before you screw me over. And it's a bunch of just battling plans. Like, real estate actually doesn't have to be such a bickering, like, fucking each other over match, excuse my language, but it can just be a cooperative thing where it's like, you want to sell the house, we want to buy it, let's figure a deal out. Like, that's negotiating.
100%.
Being a bully isn't negotiating.
No,
Like, it's
exactly.
not needed.
Exactly. And we run into that all the time. But I find, we have a lot more enjoyment, and we can all share a lot more success if it's a more collaborative experience on
Yeah.
all levels.
Yeah. I mean, I know you're in Canada, but we call it the United States of America for a reason. Like, you should be united, working together. That's kind of the whole idea, is how this works. But if we're sitting here trying to do what's in our best interest, but not in the best interest of everybody, like, you think that works out? Like, are you just being a selfish dick? Like,
It's very short-term thinking, that's what that is, rather than long-term success. So
and when you really start to grasp like the size and the economy of the world and everything else, you're like, there's plenty to go around. Like, and this
absolutely.
is hard. Work with each other, and you're going to get ahead a lot further than if you're alone. And even then, if you do get ahead alone, you're still alone. There's no one to share it with. How fun is that? Like, and at the end of your life, you look back and you go, what did I do with it? And it's just you by yourself with all your money. Like, that's sad.
With a bunch of
Like,
burnt
oh,
bridges around you.
like, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Oh, I hear you. I hear you. We all know those guys. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today. I really appreciate it. If there's any parting words for those realtors that are either just starting their career, or maybe at a point where they're struggling to move on to the next level, what might that be?
probably just to find who you need to find to learn from and work with, and just drop the ego game and quit being a poser, quit being an imposter. Like, we all know this. That's why we have like anxiety or don't feel good about what we're doing. Just be real, be genuine. Like, that's what people want. Like, people connect with me a lot on online leads and as a realtor because I cuss, because I'm who I am. I may not be everybody's cup of tea, but for the people I am, I connect with really well. And for the ones I'm not, I'm not. So I guess just be real, be yourself, but then go find who you need to connect with to learn from to really get yourself to the next level. Because it's through someone else. It's not
Yes,
by yourself. So
100%. And don't be afraid. You'll be surprised how open a lot of people are. A lot of people are reaching out to me, which I find is incredible. I love talking to people about their business and things that they could be doing. So definitely reach out to me anytime, people. If I can ever help you with anything, you let
Sure.
me know. And I know it's vice versa. So that's fantastic. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. I remembered to say it twice. Like, share, and
And go watch
subscribe
more
to the channel.
videos. If you want a YouTube algorithm hack, it's not just like, comment, subscribe. Go keep watching more of Lauren's videos, because as you keep watching more of them, they keep showing up and it gets some more views and the whole thing keeps going. So there's a YouTube hack for
There
you.
you go. Thank you so much. Thanks, Ben. Take it easy, man.
All right. See ya.